leaders from around the world have reacted to the news that the Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has died in prison.
Reports of his death, if they're true, and I have no reason to believe they're not, Russian authorities are going to tell their own story. But make no mistake, Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. Putin is responsible.
Navalny was serving a 19-year-old prison sentence after being convicted of extremism and fraud following his vocal opposition to Vladimir Putin's regime.
Well, the prison service said he collapsed and lost consciousness during a walk. His widow, Yulia, says the world needs to punish Putin.
I want to call on the entire world community, everyone in this room and people around the world, that we come together to unite and defeat this evil, defeat the horrific regime that is now in Russia.
Ooh, OK.
Well, let's talk to former advisor to Vladimir Putin, Sergei Markov. Good to see you this morning, Mr. Markov. Is this something for which Putin was responsible, do you think?
Good morning. It's a pity, bad news, of course, about death of Alexei Navalny. I knew Alexei Navalny personally. He was very bright, well-educated, very modern style political leader. 11 years ago. 10 years ago, after Crimea joined Russia, and Alexei Navalny been one of the few Russian politicians who did not support Crimea joining Russia, he finished as political leader. That's why Western leaders now claim him as a main opposition leader, their ally. He lost his popularity 10 years ago when Alexei Navalny supported not Crimean people rejoining Russia, but Ukrainian, Russophobic and repressive regime. So politically, Navalny dead 10 years ago. And if you, a lot of people now blame Vladimir Putin, but let's look from, on this issue from criminal logic. Criminal. Look, imagine that if you're criminal and you have some coaches in prison of your enemies. You really will kill your enemy 1 month before the very important events. It means that in 1 month from now, exactly will be presidential election on which Vladimir Putin, according to the sociology, should get about 75% of popular support in first round. So, of course, it's irrational behavior. And for sure, for Vladimir Putin also it was bad news. Vladimir Putin didn't respect Alexei Navalny for sure. He regarded Alexei Navalny as betrayal and weaponry in the hands of the enemies of Russia. But he doesn't like it because the time is very bad for Russian authorities.
So, Sergei, you are saying that the world media and other world leaders have got this wrong and Putin is nothing to do with the death?
Yes, Putin has nothing to do because, Alexei Navalny was not only political leader 10, 11, 12 years ago, but also he was corrupted because he served as advisor to one of the Russian governor. And this governor, by the way, already also stayed 8 years in prison. And I think low-level officers of the prison mostly responsible for the bad conditions, because I think the behavior of these low-level security officers was not good. Navalny spent many time in the bad conditions because he had been punished. It's apples of polar circle. It's quite bad conditions for everybody to stay there.
Well, yeah, look, why wouldn't people believe that Putin was behind this when Putin was clearly behind his conviction in the first place? I mean, it's frankly a ridiculous conviction that he was serving.
A lot of accusation about Putin. They tried to poison Alexei Navalny a few years ago, but I think it's same line demonization of Vladimir Putin. For Western leader, it's much more better not to draw Vladimir Putin as a devil as Hitler, as those who should be crushed, killed, and so on. But better to recognize Russian interests and to come to compromise. Vladimir Putin, very humanitarian, I would say, politician. He, for example, violated Russian law to save life of Alexei Navalny after this crisis of his poisoning. With violation of Russian law, Alexei Navalny have been moved in few hours to the Germany to save his life. So Vladimir Putin tried to save life of Alexei Navalny.
Look, there's an entire population of Ukraine, never mind the rest of the world, that would take a real point with you saying that Vladimir Putin is a humanitarian politician.
Yeah, first of all, I should repeat again. For us, Ukrainians, they are Russians. They, in all their history, they are Russians. They speak Russian language. They call themselves 1,000 years as Russians in all history documents. That's why, for us, it's not taking control of Ukraine. It's liberation of Ukrainian people from anti-Russian Russophobic regime. That's why clear, absolutely clear order of Vladimir Putin to save a life of civilians in Ukrainian cities as much as possible. If you see some information about the Russian army kill Ukrainian civilians, you should know that this is just propaganda, military propaganda and lie. I can again appeal to the Western public opinion leaders. Don't make image of Vladimir Putin as Hitler and as devil, but respect Russian interests, stop the war in Ukraine by lives of Ukrainian people, and stop this war as soon as possible.
So, Sergei, we have got this wrong, and we owe Putin an apology for even thinking that he is anything but a humanitarian, had nothing to do with this death.
I don't got your question. Can you repeat?
So you are saying that the world owes Putin an apology for even thinking that he had any responsibility for this death?
Yeah. Not the world. The most of the world believes that Vladimir Putin not responsible. China, India, Brazil, all Arabic world, all Muslim world, all of these countries a little bit more support Russia than Western coalition. But Western coalition, NATO countries, they blame Putin. And I should say, NATO having war against Russia. And all this falsified information is just part of the military propaganda. You know how military propaganda works? It's based on the lie. It's exactly what I appeal to the Western public opinion. Stop war against Russia, stop military propaganda, stop demonizing. But most of the world believes that this is war between two Western coalitions. One, Europe, United States, another Russia. Because for the China and for the India, both Russians, British, Germans, and Americans, they same white imperialists.
OK, Sergei Markov, we've got to leave it there. Appreciate your perspective on that. Thanks very much indeed. We do know that certainly there are plenty of people in Russia who think that they are in fact being invaded by the West as a result of all of this.
Yes.
We've heard plenty of tales that indeed Ukrainian people who said they've spoken to their relatives in Russia who they do not believe what is happening because they say the Russian troops are just defending their borders. Anyway, that's what Sergei Markov had to say. What's your do you believe him or not?
Humanitarian.
Putin as a humanitarian politician is hard to believe. But anyway, it's about hearing the perspectives, isn't it?